What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 43 of Bettin N Boozin here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Roscoe, and what an unbelievable trip I had last week, along with Howard Kravitz and, of course, Noah Maher, one of the co-hosts of the show. Keeneland was fantastic, as they always are. Thank you so much to, obviously, Jim Goodman for all the hospitality and everybody else that was at Keeneland to make our stay one for the ages, not to mention all the people that we met. We met a bunch of viewers from the podcast out there. Just quick shout out to Paul, Mark, Adam, and everyone else. I apologize if I missed your name. Sean Kane is another one. So thank you guys so much for joining up and meeting up with us. It was greatly appreciated. And obviously we had a great time, and I'm hope you guys did as well. But we're going to have a great show coming up for you guys tonight as we cover the Late Pick5 on Keeneland for Keeneland on Friday. As not only will we cover Keeneland Friday this week, but we have two weekend shows, one Saturday morning and one Sunday morning, of course, covering the Late Pick5s for both days. Saturday we'll cover the early Pick5, as tomorrow Howard, Pete, and Paul, the flagship shows you see scrolling on the bottom of the screen here, will cover the Late Pick5 on Saturday at Keeneland, with including the Queen Elizabeth II Stakes. The first stakes, I believe, without her, unless I think it actually might be the second. But either way, the Queen Elizabeth II Stakes goes on Saturday afternoon, and that is a fantastic race. So that's not a show that you're going to want to miss. Tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, the flagship show with Howard, Pete, and Paul. Not, like I said, you're not going to want to miss it. But guys, we're going to get in real quick here. If you're more of an audio listener, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor is where you find all of our shows, not only of Bettin N Boozin, but of the HHH Racing Podcast Network. Tuesday shows, Saturday shows, Sunday shows, anything you want. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor is where you'll find the audio editions for those. The Power Picks, guys, still going very strong, still over a $2.30 ROI for the entirety of we've been doing this. I believe we're almost up above 300 different spot plays, and we're still 30 cents over the positive mark. So you guys will want to get in on this. Patreon.com/HHH Racing Podcast only comes out to about $4 a weekend, and it charges $15.99 a month as it's billed by the month through Patreon. But you guys are going to want to get into this and not want to miss these coming up weekends, especially with Keeneland still on the horizon. And of course, go to hhhracingpodcast.com for either previous editions of the Power Picks or anything you want to know about us. But guys, like I said, we're right around the corner from Breeders' Cup season. This is the season that will get involved with the podcast, as get those Power Picks. We're going to have special Breeders' Cup edition Power Picks, of course. Be on the lookout for those. But we're going to be in we're going to go right into the show here. We're not going to waste anyone's time here. But and I do see happy Simon O'Neill, thanks so much for joining the show, and I'll talk about him, of course, starting here. But bringing on my co-host from the East Coast of New Jersey, Patrick Kunzel, and of course from the West Coast, Noah Maher. Guys, what's going on?
Nothing much. How we doing?
What's going on, guys?
Nothing. I mean, like I said, I prefer to not have this talk, but I'm sure someone's going to ask in the chat. Yes, Noah did kick my ass in golf on Monday. It's hard to. I've been out of play, and I never even shot a 72 in my life. Hey,
here we go.
No, you gotta listen to me. You gotta wait and listen to what I'm gonna say. I've never even shot a 72. My best is 75 on a par 73. That's all I got, as Noah can probably assume from my par 5 play on.
The big question is, how did the balls play?
He probably wants us to not talk about it. I did barely beat him though. I did implode in the second half, but he did place behind us. But as to be expected, he played well. I think he shot 86, so nothing too shabby by any means. But Noah shooting 72, and I think I shot like 83 or 84. So still behind all the young guys, but still, I mean, 86 is nothing to sneeze at by any means. So we had a great weekend, as we'll talk about, but I want to go over some comments here, and then we'll get into the racing. Katie is, of course, here. How you doing? Thanks so much for joining the show, Katie. Greatly appreciate it. Mike Monroe is here. Good evening to you, sir. Thanks so much for joining the show. Simon O'Neill, a.k.a. Happy Harry. He has many aliases these days. Thanks so much for joining the show, man. Greatly appreciate it. Sean Kane is in the chat. Sean, great to see you this weekend. And, of course, he's a part owner of Shards, who ran a very nice race this weekend. Thank you much, Simon. He did run a very good race. It hurts to be that close. It really does. But hey, it was still very, very good. We'll take it for what it is. Michael Austin is here, of course. Shout out Paul Conlon from North Dakota. Absolutely, Paul. Good to meet you this past weekend. And thanks for joining the chat, man. That's awesome. Greatly appreciate it. Matt Miller, the man himself, is here. Thanks so much for joining the show. And Howard, of course, is here. Noah, good at golf. Check that. He's really good at golf. 41 on the back nine for a guy with a bad back and an old man. That's not bad. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
You know, not, like I said, not out driving the young guys, but hey, I'll take 270 down the middle any day. That's for damn sure. Howard, thanks so much, man, for joining the show. But like I said, guys, we're going to get right into the show real quick. And it wouldn't be Bettin N Boozin if I don't give some due diligence to the Crowns Away boys as we talk about this real quick. I'm going to show the ending of the Shards race, who ran an absolute stormer this past weekend in the Indian Summer Stakes. Just missed out by a neck to both Committee of One and Amidst Waves, who shout out to Blackridge Stables, who I believe I talked to the owner of Blackridge. He's a very nice guy, and he's got a very nice runner in Amidst Waves. So shout out to him as well. Sorry, I don't remember your name, but an absolute great gentleman. As we're going to take a look at Shards race here, guys, real quick. I'm going to put it up on the screen right now as it comes up. Obviously, there'll be no sound, but I'm going to skip ahead to the end of the race here. You'll see Shards gets out a little bit slow, a little bit outrun, but you'll see coming to the top of the stretch. As I like to refer to him as Beshizzle My Nizzle, gets him out is going to get him out real nice here. He gets a little stuck in for room here towards the top of the stretch, but once he finally finds a hole, you'll see Shards here, the number one in the orange, will finally kick home. You'll see he's still looking for room, finally gets it, and you'll see he's finally coming, and will fall just a neck short, but still, we're watching from the winner's circle, guys, and you guys know me. I'm a yeller, but I was really, really trying to yell him home. But like I said, congratulations, Committee of One, who will most likely be in the Breeders' Cup come in a few weeks, which it's 2.5 weeks, guys. That's just unbelievable to me at this point.
What's Shards going to do now?
I don't know. They're talking about it now. Obviously, it's either Breeders' Cup or it's not Breeders' Cup. So they got to have that conversation.
It's a quick turnaround.
It is a quick turnaround, but God, that'll be.
Oh, that would be all. I would be all for it. You know? And
not to mention, all of us on the screen will be at the Breeders' Cup, so that would be something special. But obviously, they're going to have to have that conversation. But of course, Tony Raw is the one to know. Not any of us. I'm sure we'll find out here pretty soon. Obviously, it's a quick turnaround. But we're going to get right into the handicapping here, guys. And Mike Monroe says we just missed with the Wine Steward. You did. Mike, I actually really liked the Wine Steward, and yeah, just missed. That was a day of just misses for me, and I really wish it wasn't for you guys. But you guys definitely have a good runner there in the Wine Steward, and like I said, I really liked him on that day. So congratulations, still a very good second to a good horse. So Mike, thanks so much again for joining the show, man. Greatly appreciate it. And Charles B says those horses are so closely matched at Keeneland. Put the winners in winning lakes. Absolutely. I mean, like I said, that's the greatness about Keeneland, right? We talk about these 4-week short meetings where everyone comes to get that money. So they're definitely going to be close to the match, Charles. Thanks so much for doing the show, man. I didn't say hi to you. I greatly appreciate it. But guys, we're going to get in right now to the Late Pick 5, which starts on race 6 on Friday. It starts with a beautiful $16,000 claimer going. I had to throw it in there. Going a mile into 16th on the dirt, guys. Draws a nice field of 11, though, with a pretty lukewarm morning line favorite of the number 3, Telephone Talker, at 5-2. My Bar Riley at 7-2, your second choice. And Huge Bigley, a Washington bred, at 4-1 on the morning line, third choice. And as I bring up the picks right now, guys, you'll see 2 of us are actually going with the Washington bred Huge Bigley. But Noah actually has him nowhere, and he's actually going to go with the morning line favorite, Telephone Talkers. So as I switch over to the PPs here, Noah, you're going to be obviously the one going first. Let's see. I'm just looking through the chat real quick. He's headed west. Absolutely, Mike. Congratulations, man. That's awesome. Hopefully you get a good runner out there. Good luck out west, obviously, with the Wine Steward. But I'm going to switch over the PPs right now, Noah. Go ahead, talk about what'd you like most about Telephone Talker.
Yeah, well, you kind of assume with these claiming 16,000s that they're not really the best fields. So the fact that I went with a favorite is kind of not what I would normally do. But it just goes to show you the confidence that I have in this horse up against this field. I just think that this horse for Fausto Gutierrez, just the consistency in the last 4 races. I just think there's quite a bit of speed in the race, which is why I kind of didn't like the 2, because I think there's other horses that have to go, like the 7 and the 11. And I don't know if the 2 can necessarily sit off and then hold off others. So I was kind of against the 2, and the fact that Falcon's so good first time, I just feel like that horse is going to get bet. But with the 3, I just kind of look at the consistency. Typically, a lot of times people try to bet against a horse that has been running on the turf and on the synth. But the horse has run decent races on the dirt, even though he hasn't won. But I just thought, going back to the quality of this field, I just think with that kind of consistency and running in those, high 70s, I just feel like he's got the best shots of winning this race.
I mean, look, I know Noah, you said this as well. The numbers definitely fit. It's just a matter of he hasn't run on the dirt since 2022, if not 2021. So he's gonna have to find that dirt form again. But the numbers definitely do fit. I have him in second, and Patrick, you have him in third. So you obviously think the same way. But you have 2 other horses, Noah, that none of us have. So I'm gonna let you fly away here. My Bar Riley at 7-2. This is an old. I'm going to bring this up because just for my own sake, Arlington Legend. If I remember correctly, I don't know why that happened, but Arlington Legend, My Bar Riley. You can watch all the way back here, only at Arlington. I believe under. So I mean, for Velli, Steve Manley, so a bunch of Illinois connections. Obviously, this horse is very old at this point. He's 9, but My Bar Riley 7-2 could be coming home late.
Yeah, this 6 for me was simply just a board horse. The horses run big numbers. I see an 82 and 83, but the 0 for 12 definitely comes to attention. But the horse is 31 for 64 on the money, so half of his races he's run decent. Typically, you don't like to see going from a claiming 50 to a 16, where the connections are just trying to get rid of the horse for 16. But I just kind of thought he was a board horse. And for me, I don't know about you guys, but I really like the 3. So that was the only one I considered on the win end. But then the 1 was just another weird horse that I thought those 2 turf races in the Brooklyn kind of dirtied the form. So I was trying to go a little bit out of the ordinary when I had the chalk on top.
Look, I mean, the 1 is another one I looked at for Kawamori, but last time it was actually at Keeneland, won with an 82 buyer, but that was over almost 2 years ago at this point. It will be almost 2 years to the day, actually, funny enough. But it's just going to be a tough task. Hopefully he can run back to these numbers, but these types of board horses where they're coming from behind and picking up the pieces, especially in $16,000 claimers where a lot of these horses might not like to pass, I think the number 1 could be another one. Good luck, Noah, with yours. Patrick, we're actually very similar here. We have this 2, 3, and 7 just in different order, but we both have the number 2, huge bigly on top for Falcone and Sias. And while I bring up Falcone's numbers, which I'm sure you know as well, that he's very, very good off the claim first time. But I mean, this horse is another one that just has numbers that fit.
Yeah, and and he's dropping down to the lowest level pretty much that he's been at. In a spot where, I try to find the alternatives to favorites as top 3 choices. I think in this spot, if you're getting thing anywhere near 4-1 with huge bigly, whose buyers fit right in, last race on the turf at Saratoga, just a bizarre race. The horse just never really ran much at all. I'm going to give this horse a chance with, from Robert Falcone, who's a New York trainer, who's going to ship down here, and try and find a winner in this claiming event in a spot that is just wide open.
Absolutely. I mean, I pulled up Falcone's numbers. In the last 5 years, he's at 112 starts off the claim with 25% win rate. So 28 for 112 with 62 with 55% in the money. So he's always has him ready off the claim first time, and bringing him back to the dirt here, I think, is where he fits. He won a 25 optional claiming 25 at Delaware off the turf. but then was still pretty competitive in claiming races at Oaklawn, and at Churchill. So I think dropping down to this 16 is just where Falcone thinks he's going to be able to win. I don't necessarily think it's going to be a get rid of type of thing, as he was claimed from Saratoga and now comes over here to Keeneland. I just think Falcone thinks he's going to be very competitive in this 16,000 field. As Patrick points out, it's very wide open. But again, Patrick, like I said, we both have the number 7 in there as well, Populist for Moquette and Gaffleon. Gaffleon obviously riding very well at Keeneland, as he always does, but coming off a $16,000 claimer at Churchill, I just think this is one that could maybe get the lead and just kind of trip out in this race.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. This horse, I look last out, what flew out of the gate. I kind of thought distance might be a problem.
Yep.
But then again, in this type of race, when a horse gets on the lead, some of these horses just don't like to pass. So I think the 7 could be dangerous in this spot as well if it gets to the lead.
I mean, that's exactly, taking my words right out of what the heck did I just say?
I got what you're trying to say.
You know what you're trying to say. You're taking the words that I was going to say, but just this horse looks to get out front. Hopefully can maybe even clear. There's a little bit of speed to his inside. But hopefully the number 7 Populist can kind of clear. And even if he doesn't hold on, which, as Patrick stated, the distance could be a relatively small issue in my opinion, but still could hold on for a piece. So I do like the number 7 Populist underneath. But I do agree with Noah that the number 3 Telephone Talker is the most likely winner just based on numbers alone in this race. But he will obviously have to come back to the dirt and have to take his first win on the dirt, as he is over 5 in his career. So I'll be looking to huge big lead to hopefully spring a little bit of an upset over Telephone Talker. But I'm going 2-3-7. Patrick's going 2-7-3. Noah's going 3-6-1. Charles B also points out that he likes Honor Code a lot. A very good sire at Keeneland, which obviously could be the case for the number 1 Code Runner. But he'll definitely have to step back to these numbers back here in 2021 if he wants a chance. So, guys, we're going to move on to race number 7 here. Race number 7 is let's see, as I switch right now, it's a $140,000 allowance going a mile and a 16th on the turf, draws another full field of 12 with 4 also eligibles. One of them, I think that sticks out to us is number 15 Portfolio Company. We'll obviously need a lot of scratches to get in, but he is definitely live if he does get in. But the full field of 12, lukewarm morning line favorite is the number 5. Highest distinction for Jairo Rendon and Lindsay Schultz at 3-1. Second choice will be a credit for Luan Machado and Patrick Mateca at 4-1. And then 9-2 King Vega, out of the number 8 hole for Johnny Velasquez and Graham Motion. Guys, going to switch over the picks right now for race number 7. And again, we're all over the place.
This
and
is
actually,
a fun race.
I switched my picks. Shoot, I forgot to switch them. But anyway, Patrick, there's going to be a common theme here. I think that I'm going with prices, and I think I'm going to get them by myself to hopefully talk. But no, I did go 9-5-8 in this spot as well. You'll see my DRF, but dude, yeah, this again, common theme today is what you're going to see. But as I switch over the PPs, I'm going to let Noah go first again, because again, Noah has horses that neither of us have on top in what I think is a very, very competitive race.
Yeah.
Noah's going with the number 3, a 12-1 morning line horse, Hosier, who great band, by the way. But Rudy Brissett, Alex Ashard, who I think is a very underrated jockey, always comes to Keeneland and runs his stuff. Ran in the mid-million last time at Kentucky Downs. Obviously didn't run his race, but Noah, what'd you like most about Hosier?
Yeah, so far I'm kind of on an island, but it's a pretty fun island over here, I would say. But yeah, I went with Hosier because I agree with you guys. I think this race was definitely fun and pretty wide open. But I think Hosier is just a really nice and classy horse. Rudy Brissett is 2 for 2 at Keeneland, so he's bringing live runners, and I mean he's 27% for the year, so he's been doing himself some good. And then I think that last race in the mid-million, I think that was a pretty damn good field. I mean, you had Ancient Rome, who came in from overseas, and Stitched, who I believe ran this last weekend, and I'm pretty sure. What's his name? Pletcher and Pratt that ran third to master the season up to the mark. Annapolis,
yeah, right
there
there.
you go.
Yeah. Which you guys were, or at least a couple of you guys were against when you guys covered that race. But I just think he's kind of been facing some better horses than a couple in this group, and I wanted to go with the prize.
Hey, and to your point there, dude, I just could not catch I mean, it's per usual. I just could never catch a photo. Master of the Seas was one of my picks of the day, and of course, getting nosed out. Obviously, Up to the Mark is the best turf horse we've seen in the States in a long while. So, I mean, he's going to go to the turf, and most like, and that was announced, by the way. He is going to the turf instead of the mile. He's never been beyond 10 furlongs, and obviously the turf is run at 1.5 miles at Santa Anita. So that will definitely be interesting to see how Up to the Mark takes to the long distance. I don't think he'll have too much of a problem with it. Just matters, obviously, what Euros come over into the Breeders' Cup. But Hosier, I mean, look, I'll never, as no one knows my rule, I'll never talk anyone off a double-digit
100%.
horse that they like. But he's just based on numbers alone, I'm sure you noticed, Noah, he's going to have to step up a little bit. But if he secures the trip, and obviously Rudy Brissett's been a hot hand this year, could definitely bring it back. So Hosier is definitely interesting at double-digit odds. You have the number 1 Accredit, who surprisingly Patrick also has nowhere. Luan Machado, it's just smaller connections, but I just don't necessarily like the rail. But I'm interested to see why you like Accredit.
Yeah, I kind of like the fact that at Keeneland you have those smaller barns that come and they try to bring their best, and when they win it's just super heartwarming. I just feel like this could maybe be the case with Pavel. I'm not going to try that last name, but with the rail, sometimes can cause trouble, but sometimes can save ground. And I feel like a similar situation to the last. I feel like those synth races, and then back at Keeneland in the Sycamore going 1.5 miles kind of dirty up the form. If you just look at the mile and the mile 16th races on the turf, I just feel like this is a really nice and classy horse, which is evident with 3 out of 4. I will go to your guys' pick in the 9, which is Ocean Atlantique, who I definitely gave a look to, but I wanted to see what you guys thought, because I watched that last race, and even though it says game in the comments, I just thought he hung like a SOB. So I don't know what you guys were thinking, but that was just kind of my thought.
Hey, I'll let Patrick obviously touch on it first. And you are right. I mean, he definitely didn't get by. Obviously, Wolfie's Dynaghost is a very nice horse in his own right, but I completely understand what you're saying. Patrick, I'll go to you first, as we both have the number 9, 8-1 morning line, Ocean Atlantique on top for Maker and Gaff Leone. I mean, to respond to Noah's comment as well, but tell me what you like most about him as well.
Yeah, to be honest, the Kentucky Downs race on form looks like one of Ocean Atlantique's better race the last, 3 times. But I like to toss those Kentucky Downs races just because, the configuration of it, the hills and stuff. I'm just not a big fan of, horses coming back and then running on flat ground. What I like, though, is this horse's best race is firmly in the mix here, and at a price, Mike Maker with these older, 6-year-old horse. This is a 6-year-old horse. This horse is going to have, is very tactical, can sit a trip wherever it wishes, is still training very well. I just, in a spot where I think a price is going to come in, I think, Ocean Atlantique is right there and with all of them.
Yeah, and obviously we all talk about this, but the mile Kentucky Downs usually plays a little bit longer. Mm-hmm. And he's finally starting to get to Wolfie's Dynaghost here and just doesn't have enough. I just think I agree with you as well, Patrick, just the matter of even though it is his best number in the last 2 races, Kentucky Downs is obviously just that weird configuration where some horses really like it, some horses really don't. I think Ocean Atlantique still ran a very nice race that time, looks to improve off of that coming back to a more general configuration. This race is obviously run at 1 mile and a 16th. So I think getting a little bit, it probably plays more just like that mile that was ran at Kentucky Downs. So getting that little extra time to catch a horse that's definitely not as good as Wolfie's Dynaghost, I definitely be looking to Ocean Atlantique to run a race just like the one last time, and hopefully can run by Like I said, a horse that's not nearly as good as Wolfie's Dynagos, but we'll look to see. I do like the price as well at 8-1 morning line. Highest distinction is the morning line favorite in this race. And I watched all these races. I mean, look, this horse is a 4-horse field, but still did it very well. We'll watch this end of the far turn of this replay here, which I love the win percentage, by the way, that that Maryland Jockey Club does. It's actually, you'll see him, he's right here in the red and white stripes. Again, 4-horse field, you make with what it is. The King Vega is the number 8 in this field. But he just goes by, I mean, with relative ease. And obviously being fully asked, but still powers away. There's always so much you can say about a 4-horse field, but I still think by numbers, he's the toughest horse in this field. And if Jairo Rendon can get him into a very relatively favorable spot, that being stalking the pace like he likes to do, I think Highest Distinction can run another big number at a Keeneland turf course that he showed to like in the past, or like a little bit in the past. Obviously, he ran 5th in 22 in the spring here, but that was under previous trainership. So hopefully, Highest Distinction can get out there and run a good race for minor placings, as we all have him 2nd and 3rd. Patrick, you have the number 11 that will end here. And talking about, I mentioned King Vega real quick. He's going to go out to the lead. Could trip out. I like that King Vega necessarily doesn't need the lead. You'll see last time at Keeneland in the fall, he actually rated off the pace. He did steady, but he did show that he could rate a little bit off the pace. So that's why I like King Vega. Hopefully he can get a decent price with motion. And Velasquez, who obviously has run very well at Keeneland so far this year. But Injunction for Carlo Vaccarezza and Rafael Bejarano, just tried turf for the first time at Kentucky Downs. And I mean, for the first time in a long time, and obviously ran in that same race, was right behind Ocean Atlantic, just a little bit farther back. Could definitely be one for the minors.
Exactly right. And, second career start on turf, like you said, last out at Kentucky Downs, and, faced extremely tough dirt horses in tough spots and big races. So, I'm always a fan of, trying to find prices from dirt to turf and horses that have not really run on turf too much, but trainers are trying them, especially in spots where fields are open. Because, 2nd or 3rd out, you never know. The horse could just, jump from that 2nd out. And, in a spot like this with the buyers that I think fit here, it'd be interesting to see tactical wise what they're going to do with the horse. But I think Bejarano could get this horse in a good spot for a price underneath.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it last time, right, where the horse was pretty close to probably what he's going to be this time at 10-1, and was still very close to getting past. 2 lengths back, but still a little bit more room could be one to get past. I mean, he ran 2nd in the ACAC behind Senor Buscador. So, Injunction's definitely got the talent. It's just a matter of can he improve off 2nd off the layoff in his 2nd turf start in the last 3 years, basically. But I do like the pick underneath for Injunction. I'm going 9-5-8. Noah's going 3-1-5, and Patrick's going 9-5-11 in race number 7 on Friday at Keeneland. Moving on to race number 8, guys. This is a 2-year-old fillies maiden special weight, going a mile and a 16th on the dirt. And as I bring up the field, what do you know, guys? It's Keeneland. Another full field of 12 with 4 more also eligibles in this spot. Morning line favorite is going to be another lukewarm favorite. The number 4, Genetics, for Joel Rosario and Bill Mott at 7-2. Second choice is the number 9, Intricate, for Gaffleone and Brendan Walsh at 9-2. And the third choice is Carrara for BJ Hernandez and Kenny McPeak at 5-1. And guys, switching over to race number 8 here, we're actually pretty similar. We all have the 9 and 4. 2 of us have the 9 on top. Patrick has the number 4, Genetics, on top, the morning line favorite. But other than that, we're all pretty similar because Noah and I both have the 12. Patrick has the 2. But I'm going to switch over to DRF right now. Patrick, I'll let you go first, as you are now the odd man out, going with the morning line favorite, the number 4, Genetics.
Yeah, listen, Billy Mott's been unbelievable with for his standards, I should say. Great trainer, but 2-year-olds, he seems to struggle to get them going over time. This horse, has run twice, both at Saratoga, both, tough spots, facing, big, good horses, 2-year-olds that they always shine in Saratoga. Horse just really hasn't run much. I looked at the first race on August 13th, and I watched. The horse actually, it says on the PPs too. The horse was off slow and actually brushed up into first at some point around the far turn. It was really bizarre. And then second out just was really flat. Came out of the gate weird. I think this horse just needs. If this horse can just get out of the gate and not have anything go the wrong way, easier said than done, right? But
Of course.
I just this horse, is a $525,000 purchase. They obviously think big things of this horse. They set the morning line at 7-2. I think this horse is going to run a big race, and for what connections think it should.
Yeah, I mean, look, ran a big race first time out at Saratoga, just losing, was off slow, rushed up, and still only lost by a length and a half. Losing last time was a little bit. He brushed the gate, just didn't really get out very well, and just never really had anything. Top of the stretch has been in New York the entire time. He was the favorite. Betting back after that 68 would be my guess. See, right, there we go. Cheers, everybody. Drink up. Everybody knows the rules, but Genetics, look, if she can continue to build off those last two starts and run maybe a low mid 70s, could definitely be very competitive for the win in this race. As you'll see, she's been in New York the entire time. Bill Mott shipping her down into this spot will be very interesting. But Genetics, the most likely winner based on numbers and the most likely more post-time favorite. But Noah, we're going with someone else. We're going with the number 9, Intricate, for Brendan Walsh. Last time out at Churchill, ran 6 furlongs in a very hot pace, was able to close pretty well, but kind of ran evenly, was bet down. Obviously, Brendan Walsh took her to Keeneland, got to work over the surface, pointing to a spot here, and I actually really like this horse on top.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think Brendan Walsh has always been pointing to this spot. Running 6 furlongs at Churchill, she drew the 1 hole, which is never ideal. Just another one that seemed well meant, and out of gun runners should just cherish the added distance. And I really like the fact that Tyler Gaffalione stayed here.
I do too, and obviously Brendan Walsh loves to have Tyler on his horses. So anytime you'll see Tyler jump on a Brendan Walsh horse, generally it's because it's connection wise. But Tyler's always running live. I think he won at least 2 more today. So he always knows how to ride at Keeneland. This one looking to improve second off the layoff, or second time out. Excuse me. Brendan Walsh is always really good second start, and obviously still working very forwardly. So Intricate, I like really well to sit. Kind of a stalking trip as long as she can get out. Gun Runner, obviously, Gun Runner wins at 20% for his 2-year-olds. So I'm still looking for Intricate to take a big step forward here, and second time out and run a big race for Walsh. As you'll see, we all have the number 12. Noah and I have the number 12, remembering in 3rd and 2nd respectively. I mean, slow numbers, but still improving after every start. Michael McCarthy has her out here. And again, if American Freedom looks to improve with the blinkers on, and I think, doesn't necessarily need to improve too much to be in the money.
Yeah, I actually thought the blinkers on would help her tremendously. Watching that last race, she showed some potential, and she was 5-2. So obviously the public liked her as well. But you can see she was green. She just seemed a little distracted in the stretch. So I think even though the 12 post is ideal, I feel like being outside at Keeneland, especially last weekend, has been pretty good in terms of sitting a trip. So I think there's other horses to the inside that can go, like a couple. It's either the 1 and the 2. There's a couple horses down to the inside, but I think she can just kind of sit off, and Luis can kind of look to his left and kind of dictate things pace wise.
And I love that Louis jumps on this horse. Obviously, a very aggressive rider and looks to put horses in very good spots, especially from a post like the 12. I love to have Louis on a horse like this. So for McCarthy, obviously, Saez looks to set a very good trip, hopefully towards the front, maybe like 4th, 5th position, tucks in 2 wide, and around that first turn, and we'll be able to pass them at the top of the stretch. Patrick, you're the only one that has this horse in there for Gary Mary West, Brad Cox, Enigmatic. We're coming over from Kentucky Downs, which is interesting. first-time starter at Kentucky Downs for Cox. Now comes over to Keeneland on the dirt. Has been working at Turfway. I just didn't really know what to make of this kind of move for Cox, but I could also assume that, Kentucky Downs, they're running for big money over there. You want to try and get a piece.
Yeah, Kentucky bred, you're getting that inflated piece. You hit the board there, you're getting paid well. Yeah, you're right. You look at you bring in all the factors, coming on turf, and now, it's going to take to the dirt, going a mile and a 16th. I just, Cox's number second out, 29%. It's just,
Yep.
Obviously, yeah, it's like I'm beating a dead horse saying, Brad Cox is
Oh,
unbelievable.
hey, you can't say that. What the hell, man? You can't say that.
Yeah, I guess I can't say that, but you know what I mean when I make that reference. I just think the connections in this spot at 8-1, I'm not leaving off a ticket underneath.
Look, just for this stat alone, it's out of Brad Cox's 680 starts, second career starter in the past 5 years. He's winning 201 times. That's 30%. That's a pretty damn good number.
I know Charles B brings it up in the chat too. With these connections, the West and Brad Cox, the West bred this horse. They don't tell you obviously purchasing prices and stuff like that. Like, I've always believed that that's a positive. That they're going to keep this horse under wraps. And
hey, Charles B just pointed out, Cox is deadly with the West horses.
Yeah,
he works his best horses on Turfway to keep him safe. If that's the case, look, Enigmatic could run really well. That's after that race too. So he took him over to Turfway, most likely prepping him for this Keeneland race. So Enigmatic could be really live in the spot. Patrick, I don't know if I cut you off a little bit, but
no, you didn't. No, we're all good.
All right. Well, sounds good. I'm going 9-4-12. Noah's going 9-12-4, and Patrick's going 4-9-2. Again, guys, very similar. Two of us have the 12 underneath, and Patrick is going with number 2, Enigmatic, in third. Going to switch over to the feature of the Friday card. It is the Grade 3 Sycamore Stakes, going a mile and a half on the Keeneland turf course for $300,000 with a lot of familiar faces in here. And it tunes into another episode of Kyle thinks he picks a bomb and everyone will not make fun of him for picking chalk every time. And Patrick comes through.
I know exactly who has the horse
through with the number 11 limited liability on top as well. But the morning line favorite, guys, here is the number 3 Bold Act, coming over from Europe with Jamie Spencer and Charlie Appleby. Second choice will be the number 2, everyone's favorite horse at this distance, Red Knight, for Gaffleone and Maker. And third choice will be shared between the number 4, Therapist, and the number 5, Tawny Port at 6-1. But guys, like I said, gonna switch back over to the PPs here. Noah, you're the odd man out again, my friend, sitting on an island here. But the number 1 for Chad Brown, who I thought is actually very interesting. Obviously, I have the horse in second as well. Highest honors. Gets Pratt aboard, and last time in the Bowling Green, we all know what happened, but I'm sure you can explain it as well. What'd you like most about highest honors?
Yeah, you said it right there in the Bowling Green. That was when Rebels Romance had an incident, and it looked like highest honors pretty much took the brunt of that spill.
Yep.
But with highest honors, I'm living the time of my life on this island over here. And I love the fact that Pratt gets on. I think with the blinkers on, Pratt's a little bit more of an aggressive guy on the turf. He's just such a magician, as we've seen, in New York and Kentucky, and he even did in California when he was at Del Mar a few summers back. But I just think he's going to have this horse well positioned. And he might be a little bit slow on paper, but I don't really think he's that far off of others in this field.
I completely agree with you. And obviously there's not too much room for improvement at this age when they're turning 7, but blinkers on was a very interesting thing, I think, for Chad and Pratt coming into this race. I usually don't like equipment changes like this and this kind of spot where, they're pointing back to it, but this is a little bit softer spot in a way for highest honors. You can see 2 back ran in the Manhattan against Up to the Mark, Soldier Rising. And then last time ran in the Bowling Green, where obviously he had that type of trouble, and I agree with you. No, I think he took the brunt of that. Obviously, we can't watch the replay of it, but if you were watching it live, I think highest honors definitely was the main I guess opposite of beneficiary for that that bad racing luck. But I agree with Highest Honors. I think he's very interesting underneath, if not on top as well. I think he's got a very good chance to win at morning line 8-1. I would definitely be looking towards Highest Honors. But no, Patrick, we went another way with another morning line 8-1 horse, Limited Liability for Shug and Johnny Velasquez, who ran in the United Nations last time behind Therapist, although albeit got a very bad start, to say the least.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to hit on first. I'm complete that United Nations. I get it's a mile and 3/8. This one's a mile and a half.
You could say right before you keep talking. Sorry, he's the number 5 here.
Yeah, this horse. I mean, pretty much. It got sent back too much to where it was just this horse was not making up much ground. And obviously, Therapist, who's in this race, won it coming from off the pace. But I just, I look two back, and the way Limited Liability kicked late was really impressive to me. Is 2 for 2 at Keeneland. I think this horse is right there for Shook McGahee in a in a fun field with a price of 8-1, like we've said most of this card. I think this is a good spot for Limited Liability.
There's a few things that I really liked about Limited Liability that I'll touch on here. He's actually looking like he's improving at 4. He's younger than a lot of these horses in this field. I think has a lot more upside. You can see just as improved in every single start this year. Off the layoff at Keeneland last time, won under IRAD and a N2X. Then comes back at Churchill in a grade 3 and runs 1.5 behind Foreign Relations. And then goes to the United Nations, runs still a good race. But I think his best races are run at 1.5 miles. You can see this last race, even was still coming into a 52 and a half mile, which is an unbelievable, which is extremely slow. I'm very interested in Limited Liability on top. And if Johnny V can get him into a very favorable spot off the first turn, and then obviously there's 3 turns in the race, but if he can tuck her in from the 11th spot, I think Limited Liability would be extremely live in a spot like this. Very interested in the number 11 Limited Liability. Noah, I'll let you close out here. We all have the number 3 in there as well, Bold Act. I don't know if you watch these races over in France, but on these time for numbers, obviously you would take about 15 to 20 points off. It just looks kind of slow, honestly. And like I said, I watch these replays. He's not a very quick turn of foot horse like you see a lot of these Euros are. He's more of a grindy type of horse. And in a race where he might not be as fast as these horses, I think this might just be another overbet horse for Appleby.
Yeah, I was just going to say the exact same thing. I didn't actually watch those races, but you try and do the math with these time form ratings, and you're right I normally take about 15. So that last race in 84 does seem a bit slow against this group. But it's Charlie Appleby. So, I mean,
right.
Obviously you have to respect him.
I mean, absolutely. You have to respect him, right? It's just a matter of, is he able to have that quick turn of foot at 1.5 miles, as a lot of these other horses kind of have that type of style, the same style that Bold Act will have. And if he's just slow on the numbers, unless he really improves coming over the States, he is 3. So that's another thing you can look at, is that he's young and improving still. But I mean, it just looks slow on the numbers, honestly. And knowing Appleby and Jamie Spencer coming over, he will be bet down. He will be the morning line favorite. If not, I wouldn't say for sure, but I would be willing to bet 99% that this horse 100%. Will be the morning line favorite, or the post time favorite, most likely at something like 5-2, 2-1. So I'm not willing to take that price on a horse that just looks slow on the numbers, and watching replays just doesn't really have that quick turn of foot as you see these Appleby horses have all the time. But there's just a lot of other ways you can go in this spot. Patrick, you have the number 5 Tawnyport, who my main man Siggy in the chat says Tawny Point needs a target, but this time we'll see him behind Channel Maker. Tawnyport, since coming to the turf, I mean, he's really shown to be interesting. And he will be up front in a spot like this.
Yeah. So first time out on turf was in that Bowling Green, and had some trouble in there. Actually, there was like got clipped. It was a weird race. That was the one Channel Maker obviously won on the lead. Second out I had in the Johns call, and that horse ran like off the screen. It was unbelievable. I know it was only a 6-horse field, but the horse ran incredible. Second out, third time out with Trevor McCarthy. It was a weird run race, but this horse, could be on the lead again, or like somebody said in the chat, could sit right off of it. I just think this horse does like the turf, and it is a quality horse. So we'll see, but I think it was worth it underneath.
He is. And I mean, we've seen this before, right? We've seen Channel Makers steal it on the front end many times in a spot like this at Keeneland before. So Tawny Port could definitely be interesting. Joel Rosario hops up, obviously won the John's call, just looked very, very good in that spot. This is obviously a much tougher spot against the best horse against the best horses in the longer division in the United States, but could definitely steal it towards the front end with Joel Rosario aboard, as I said. So good luck to you, and obviously good luck to Siggy. But I said we'll have to show a little more against a very, very good field. But just a few things. Therapist is another horse, ran a very good race in the United Nations that we showed the replay of. Just kind of, that 100 almost just seems not out of place necessarily. He won the Pan American with a 95 in the spring at Gulfstream, but 80, he just seems very inconsistent. And now that he's older, I'm looking to more horses that have a little bit of upside, as we talked about limited liability. But Channel Maker is another horse we didn't talk about. Won the Bowling Green at Saratoga on the front end. And if he can get towards the front end again, Channel Maker could be there. He's 9 now at this point, and still always tries his, always gives his best run, albeit it might not always be the best winning race. He's won 2 races in the past year and a half almost. So I'd be willing to play against a horse that's always usually bet down in that middling price range. But Channel Maker's also in the race. Another mystery for Arlington legend Chris Block. Hasn't really shown his best this year, but always runs well at Keeneland, runs his race, while albeit not winning. Usually 31 could be a nice price underneath. Red Run for Mike Makers, another one who came back to Churchill on the turf and ran a big 92 in that race. Over Yamato, who won next time out. So that's another one. There's just a lot of different ways you can go in a race like this. So it'll be interesting to see how the board looks as we come to post time on Friday. I'm going 11-1-3. Noah's going 1-3-2, and Patrick's going 11-3-5. Guys, moving on to the last race here. As I switch over back to the Equibase entries right now, it's a $20,000 claimer going 6.5 furlongs on the dirt course. Again, shocker, draws another full field of 11, with the morning line favorite being all the way on the outside. Mitres Por Ciento for Raylu Gutierrez and Jeremiah Englehart. Second choice will be the number 6, Emerald Express for Saez and Ramirez. And third choice will be shared between the number 4, Herd Immunity, and the number 10, Palace Kitten for Gaffleone and Diodoro. I'm going to switch over the picks right now, guys, and you'll see 2 of us. Again, it's always 2 of us. It doesn't seem to be, there's always 2 people firing up. It's not necessarily always the same people, but Noah and I are both going with the number 4, Herd Immunity on top, and Patrick is going with the number 10, Palace Kitten. But before we get to the last race, guys, the man himself said it the best. We have a bunch of people watching, so thank you guys so much for tuning in. We greatly appreciate it, as always. But only 21 likes. I see a lot more people watching than that. Please go down below the video player and smash that like button. It really helps us out, as it not only does it show that you guys are liking the show that you guys are watching, but it will push out this video into the YouTube algorithm to help us out with viewership. So please, if you haven't liked the video already, please go below the video and smash that like button. We would greatly appreciate it. But excuse me, Patrick, you're going to go first in this race. Palace Kitten, again, Gaffleone, Diodoro, 5-1. But this race, just another race that just is wide open, in my opinion.
Yeah, this race is, to be quite frank, a crapshoot. And I'll take Diodoro first off the claim, hitting at 21%. draws more outside in this spot. Last out, horse was on the lead and just didn't. Just didn't run much at all at Ellis. Um, I've always been a big fan of the Kit Joy sires on the turf, as a lot of people are. At 5-1, I honestly think this horse will be bet down a little bit more just because of Diodoro and first off the claim in a lower spot, dropping down again. I really didn't have a big opinion in this spot, but I just I'll side with Diodoro, like I said.
I mean, look, Lisa, the numbers definitely fit. Ran a Hawthorne in a 62 in a optional claiming 62, ran an 81, ran twice at Ellis Park this summer, ran a 78 and 78. Tried it on the turf for Maker last time, which was a very interesting move off the claim for Maker. Now comes back to Diodoro. Actually, it's a claim back. You can see here, claimed out of this race for 25 for Diodoro, then ran in that turf at Ellis, and now claimed back for Diodoro, also owned, but now co-owned by Charles Garvey. So that could be another place to see that Diodoro really thinks this horse can run. Puts him in for 20, which is, I assume, is obviously, dropping down a little bit, but it's basically the same level, especially at Keeneland, where these races are always come up wide open. Palace Kitten is definitely one to consider for sure. I actually, Noah has him in second as well. I don't have him anywhere, but again, there's only so many ways you can go, so many horses you can put on your ticket or on your top three when a race is this wide open. But Palace Kitten could definitely be in there as well. Noah, we're going to number 4, Herd Immunity for Tomlinson and Joseph Rocco Jr., who ran a nice 77 last time at Churchill. I thought could trip out in a race like this, could have a little bit of a stalking trip, but what'd you like most about Herd Immunity?
Yeah, well, this race, I completely agree with Mike Monroe. I think if you have any kind of horizontal bet, you're going to want to use as many as you can. But I almost started with Patrick and went with the 10 just because Diodoro and some of these other trainers they try and do like the little sneaky reclaim, and you're always suspicious of stuff like that. But I just went with the 4. I agree with you, Kyle. I think the fact that the horse is going from 7 to 6 and second off the layoff, I think the horse is going to be really fit and coming late when I feel like a couple of these horses on the front end are just going to kind of be crying for the wire. I just thought he was one of the few horses that could really, pass in a low-level race like this. And then in third, I went with a little flyer in the 5, Asmussen, which he owns himself. A horse that's got some back numbers. You see 80, 84, 86, 89. And he hasn't really gone back to that. But I'm just hoping the fact that the horse is 2 for 2 at Keeneland, he'll just get back to his normal self, just with the fact that he really likes the service.
Nepotism at 8-1, who I also like. No, I have him in third as well. Just another horse that I thought could really trip out in a spot like this. Last year at Churchill ran an 86 going a mile. I know this race is obviously a little shorter coming off beaten claimers at Ellis in Indiana, but gets Keith back up again in this spot. Just another horse I think could really trip out. And with a lot of horses that don't necessarily like to pass too much, I like Nepotism a lot at a solid price of 8-1. And as Noah mentioned, 2 for 2 at Keeneland never hurts. Not to mention that he was winning starter allowances at Keeneland last year. But Patrick, I'll let you round it out here. You're going with the number 6, Emerald Express, who I'll let you talk about first, obviously. And then I have the number 11 as well in second, who I'll let you talk about first, and then I'll add on anything. But the number 6, Emerald Express for Ramirez and Saez.
Yeah, I'll hit on the 6. Horse has run twice now for Ramirez. Just hasn't really shown much, and then it's now going to take a bigger drop down, going from that 40 to this 20. Is probably going to sit a stalking trip because of the horse does not have much speed. So I'm kind of thinking if this race does fall apart and multiple horses go, this horse could pick up a price, in a spot like this dropping down. But that's really my angle with the 6. The 11, and then the 11 I'll let you hit on, but the just the speed of the speed for Jeff Engelhardt, a New York-based trainer.
But also another one that doesn't necessarily need the lead by any means.
True.
You see back, I mean, this was last year in 22. This will be a pretty long layoff for Engelhart and Raylu, but looks to clear from the outside draw. Even if he doesn't clear, could definitely sit in a decent spot. I know Howard's going to yell at me for this one because, you see off the layoff like this coming back at 8, it could be the one thing, but could be, I don't like that 72 morning line. I don't think you'll get 7 to, I think you'll get all of 7 to 2. You'll probably get more middling, like 5, 6 to 1, I think, on this horse, but just looking to set a nice trip. And hopefully if you get out front, could even be a little bit more dangerous out there. But off the layoff coming at 8, I wouldn't trust necessarily on the win end, but could be someone to hang on for minor placings. I'm going 4, 11, 5. Noah's going 4, 10, 5, and Patrick's going 10, 6, 11. Guys, going to switch back here, and we're going to go over obviously our best bets for this coming weekend. Patrick, you are first. You're right next to me, so you're going to go first here. You and I have the same best bet. I'm sure you can assume who it is. But as I put up on the screen now, race number 7, a win on the number 9, Ocean Atlantique, and in race number 8, a double 4 with 311. Patrick, talk about your best bets.
Yeah, I don't have to elaborate too much on Ocean Atlantique. I think this is the right spot for that horse. And then I'm going to play the double in race 8 with the 4 genetics for Billy Mott and Joel Rosario. I expect that horse to run well third time out. And I'm going to pair that horse up in the doubles with the 11 limited liability, who's my top choice in that spot, and then the 3 bold act for the Appleby horse. Ideally, I was thinking, I'm going to play Tawnyport too with some Dutch doubles, just because I know bold act's going to get bet like you hit on, Kyle, and the horse really shouldn't. So those are my best bets, and let's hope we can cash them.
Hey, look, I mean, you'll see later. I like one of your best bets for sure, but if that 4 does win, you definitely will be live. Bold act, I think you have to include on horizontals, but as I touched on, could just be slow, but I think you have to include them in the number 11. Obviously, I agree with you there as well. Good luck, Patrick, with your best bets. Real quick, I'm going to go over a few comments here that we have in the chat. Mike Monroe, thanks so much for the kind words, man. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for being here for the entire show. I can only thank you enough. So just greatly appreciate it, man. And good luck on Friday at Keeneland. Trish Smith says, hey guys, great show. Love the Keeneland coverage. Trish, thanks so much for joining the show. Obviously one of our longest supporters. And obviously she lives near the Lexington area. So always want to cover Keeneland. It's my favorite track now that my favorite track is gone, is what I like to say. It's just an amazing time. Obviously we were there last weekend. Just an unbelievable time. So Trish, thanks so much for doing the show. Charles B, good luck with your pick 5. You as well, my friend. Thanks so much. Good luck with all your bets this coming weekend. I'm sure you'll be playing Saturday and Sunday as well. As I'll see you in the chat tomorrow. Jimmy Tuez, absolutely nothing better than Keeneland. Greatly agree and greatly appreciate it, Jimmy. Thanks so much for doing the show, man. And Katie says, great show. Thank you guys so much for the kind words. But we have 2 more best bets to get through here. Noah's best bets of the weekend. He's going to go with an all-turf pick 3, which is a fantastic wagering option that Jim Goodman and Keeneland offers. It's a $3 base bet, is something that should be prefaced here. So Noah's going 7 with 1, 3, 5 with 1, 2, 3. That's in race 5. But again, that's covering all turf races. That's covering race 5, race 7, and then ending in the grade 3 Sycamore, which is race 9, singling the number 7 in the race that we didn't talk about, which is that right, Noah? The number 7 in the 5th race, the 12 to 1 morning line? Or did you send that to me wrong?
Yeah, 5th race.
All right.
I will say that of my time on this show, this is a horse that I have the strongest opinion. This is my play of the month or so that I've been on.
Oh, yeah. We're doing this now? All right. You're on Howard status. All right. I'm putting them up on the screen. Please.
So this is Juddmonte, owned and bred, 12 to 1 morning line. I think you'll probably get 5 or 6 if you're lucky. Yeah. I don't think 12 to 1 is anywhere close. But this horse just had tons of trouble in the debut. Was squeezed at the start and checked a couple times, which they couldn't include in the comments. And then was trying to close on the absolute worst part of the track. That was the first day that they had moved the rails down to Kentucky Downs. So the first 2-3 paths were the absolute golden, highway. But I just think the fact that Bill Mott keeps this horse on the grass, second time out, natural improvement, and Johnny B, who's the leading rider so far. Like I said, I don't see you getting 12-1 or anywhere near. So I'm going to start off with a single to start the turf pick 3 because it's Keeneland, so you have to.
Yeah, which real quick, Noah, I find it very interesting I find this breeding very interesting on the number 7 Auden here, because obviously Arrogate, we all know, doesn't do very well with turf horses. You can see turf routes right here, 12 for 167, only winning at 7%. But look at who the Judmont bred Arrogate to, Filimbi. For those of you that don't know who Filimbi is, the very, very good horse in the 14-15 era. You can see won the Goldakova at Santa Anita, was second in the Jenny Wiley, was second in the Just a Game. I mean, it was a very, very serious horse. And you can see Publication was a winner in New York in 2021 on the turf. So Arrogate, I just thought was a very interesting breeding to Filimbi, as Arrogate obviously doesn't do very well with turf horses, but could definitely be someone to look out for. And I do agree with you on the price. No, I don't think you're going to get 12-1 by any means. But anyway, Sorry about that. Continue with your best.
Well, yeah, I'll start with the quote unquote 12-1 to start the turf pick 3. And then the second leg is the 7th race, which is the allowance 140,000 going a mile 16th on the turf, obviously. So I've got Accredit, who's the 1. I've got Hosier, the 3, who I like as a little bit of a price. And then I've got Highest Distinction, who could definitely win, but the 102 is definitely skeptical. I might consider using Ocean Atlantique, even though I was a bit against him. You guys convinced me a little bit, so I might just throw him in just in case he's 8-1, 10-1, and beats me in a huge turf pick 3. And then in the last turf race, which is the 9th race, I've got Highest Honors, Red Knight, who's just a really cool horse and a really cool story, and then Bold Act if he's really legit.
Yeah, absolutely. And then obviously you have the winner in the race number 6 on the number 3, Telephone Talker, who is the morning light favorite in that race, but looks to get a good trip and a good run for
Yeah, just a horse who I thought was kind of laid over the field, and I just feel with others in that race, Huge Bigley, who you guys liked, I think is probably going to take a little bit of money for Falcone. So I just feel like if you get anything close to 5-2, that's going to be a pretty good value on a horse like that.
Absolutely. So good luck with your best bets as well, Noah. And real quick, man, look, hey, it's not like we picked 8-1s on 2 or 3 8-1s on top, but it's fine. The host, the founder gets what the founder gets, but he's calling Noah the big balls guys, but I thought we all were out on the limb today, but I'm gonna go with 2 win bets, guys. And the best thing that I've found for me in these past few weeks is, especially at Keeneland, is every card I look at, I find 2 to 4 horses that I really, really like. He puts a Churchtown joke in the chat. So if you guys know if you know. But the thing that I found that's working very well for me at Keeneland is picking 2 to 4 horses that I really like, and I set what is basically a value line. I set what I think the horse is, what the best value for the horse is that I'm going to get, that I want to bet that horse at. Last week I ended up playing I had 4 horses to play. I only ended up playing 1 on Friday, but the one horse that I did play ended up being Buku, who ended up going off at 5-1 and winning, which $25 netted me $178. So, and then Saturday was again the case of the seconds. I already explained it. You guys know that. Master of the Seas is just the cap off of that day. The Wine Steward we talked about earlier. So even that, I had 5 horses that day. Played 4 of them, lost 3 of them, but still only lost like $20 on the day because one of them hit. And the last day at Keeneland, which I was at Sunday, I had 5 horses to play again. Ended up playing 3 of them, hit one of them, and still made $50 because of one horse I had. I bet $30 on at 5-1 and netted me $200. So it's just very, it's a very easy way to kind of limit your betting while still playing the horses you feel very strongly about. So that's the way I'm approaching this week as well. 2 win bets for me. I'm going to go win on the number 9, Ocean Atlantique, as we talked about extensively today. I think has a very good chance to win at a pretty decent price. So, and then win on the number 11, Limited Liability. Ocean Atlantique, probably the minimum I would take is probably 5-1. I think anything below that, I think the risk just outweighs the reward in a spot like that, coming off that Kentucky Downs race. And the number 1 and the number 11, Limited Liability in the 9th race, I just think has the most upside in a race like this, has improved every single start this year. And I think, I mean, what was that? 8-1. I think 5-1 is still another fair price. I think 6-1 would be better in a spot like that, which I think you might get with a lot of well-known faces in a race like that. So anything above 6-1 or higher would be very good for me in a spot like that. But kind of pick and choose how your bets will come. And obviously they will be on Twitter at AP Roscoe K on Friday. But guys, that'll conclude today's podcast for episode number 43, covering Keeneland's Late Pick 5. But real quick, guys, my best bet NFL wise of the weekend is it's 49ers Browns, guys. 49ers are only favored by 7 from what I see to my left here. That seems, I mean, the Browns are give or take, but for a San Francisco team that's just looked absolutely devastating to all these different teams as they destroyed America's team who's playing another fucking primetime game this week because God forbid they put the Cowboys anywhere else. But 49ers -7 is going to be my best bet of the weekend for sports. But guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed episode number 43 of Bettin N Boozin here on the HHH Racing Podcast, covering Keeneland Friday and the Late Pick 5, including the Grade 3 Sycamore Stakes. Mike Monroe has a 2-year-old Army Mule colt that can really run. We'll keep you posted. I would love to hear about it, Mike. Thanks so much for doing the show, man, today. Greatly appreciate it. And thanks so much for being so live in the chat. And of course, Simon O'Neill, aka Happy Harry, aka whatever else he'll be called next week, said, thanks, guys. Greatly appreciate it. For my co-hosts, Patrick Kunsel and Noah Maher, this has been your host, Kyle Roscoe, in episode 43 of Bettin N Boozin on the HHH Racing Podcast. Good night, everybody, and crush your bets this Friday at Keeneland.